Today I am celebrating Braille Day. Braille is the form of writing which is made by a series of raised indentations on paper that is used for blind people to be able to read, well, and write if they have a Braille typewriter. And it's something that I feel a real genuine desire to celebrate because it so transformed the life of someone who was very important to me. I had my first encounter with the world of blind people when I was about 7, when I began to have piano lessons with this incredible man who happened to be a blind piano and music teacher. His name was Mr. Bonham, and he was probably getting on for 80 years old when I first had him as a student. And my first interaction with him was, I felt a bit nervous going to my first music lesson anyway, and then when I arrived and found this very old man, that was also a bit, and I sat down at the organ, and one of the first things he did was to touch my face to be able to get a sense of me, to be able to picture me, which obviously is also a bit strange. And then when I sat down I was learning the popular organ to begin with, he placed his hands on top of mine and one of his fingernails was kind of twisted, and it was all this, it was a bit of an uncomfortable thing for me as a young boy. But at the end of the music lesson, he gave me a chocolate bar that brought me back for the next week, and I ended up growing to have this really profound friendship with this man whose walls were covered with these enormous books. And obviously that seemed very strange to me, and I asked him about them in the course of time, and he got them out and showed me his Braille books, which were full of music but also full of literature, reference books. And it amazed me to have a step into the life of a blind person who absolutely knew his environment like the back of his hand. He walked around as if he had eyes because he knew exactly where he was. But he also had this incredible sensitivity with his hearing, which meant that he could tune a guitar with perfect pitch. He didn't need to compare it to another instrument. He could just go, oh, there you go, there's your guitar in tune. He could tune his own pianos, and he was also he was an incredible player himself, but his knack at teaching was really, really remarkable. And it's funny because he came from a family where, if I remember correctly, he had one of his parents, was it that they were both blind? Anyway, in his family, he also had a blind brother who happened to be this outrageous chess player who could play simultaneous chess against 20-30 people and win nearly all of the games. His capacity for memorizing all the positions in all of these games simultaneously, it's just a remarkable thing to see that in anybody, let alone a blind person who has to remember where every piece on every board is. It's just an astounding feat. And Mr. Bonham was able to remember countless books and pieces of music just through this canny ability of going, I will remember somehow. So maybe they were gifted in their family, or maybe it was a talent that grew out of necessity through being blind. But nonetheless, it was this Braille alphabet that gave them the capacity to meet the world. They were au fait with all of that. They were really familiar with all of the big books of literature they had been able to study throughout their child and adulthoods because of this beautiful invention that brings the written word to the world of people who have no vision, or at least have limited vision. So today I'm really happy to join the celebrations of Braille Day, this incredible thing that has transformed the lives of people who don't have the capacity to see things in the way most of us take for granted. It's interesting that things like the talking newspapers that existed back then have probably been surpassed by other technologies like podcasts and stuff like that. I'm not familiar with that blind world now to know how it's evolved, but I want to really take a moment to say what an incredible thing that is, and what the world would be for blind people without the existence of Braille. So here's to Braille Day.